Okay, so we're going to go through the workflow for setting up an eval note under DAX. So we're going to be using Notewriter. Okay. First thing I do is put in my smart sections. Now I've already recorded for this section or for this encounter, but typically nothing populates.
Oh, I see.
I also go under the bolded subjective, which is this kind of the subjective section header.
HPI.
Yep. And I do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put in the other ones as well. I don't actually always put these ones in, but I think it's probably best practice that we begin doing so. It's kind of a pain in the butt because you have to do it manually and individually. You could potentially save yourself a little bit of time if you wanted to make a smart phrase that had just those two. And I know that there are therapists that don't do what I do, where I put it in the different sections.
They just let it populate at the bottom.
Well, they'll do like .dax
for all of them.
They'll put in like for all, all 5 sections like this,
and then they populate.
Yeah. And I'm getting the error message because there's multiple smart sections, and so they
don't like that.
Yeah, the system doesn't know where to put the information. All right, so that is all set up. I will come into my assessment. Depending on what the person is coming in for, I will use a macro.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to organize these by body region.
Mm-hmm.
Are you using macros right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If you wanted to organize them in the order that, you go to Edit Macro.
Okay.
Just click on any one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would pull up this macro editor, and then you can just drag and drop these wherever you would like. And
to put them in any order.
Yeah, so then I obviously spent time doing that, right? Moving things around, which is kind of a pain in my bum. But
okay.
It works out nicely. Okay. So then we'll just hit accept changes. Okay. So we'll just fire this off. Say it, I don't know, it was for cervical OA, right?
Okay.
Osteoarthritis. All right. So that's there. I go to my next tab. I do the same thing. C-spine. I go to subjective. I fire that macro. I walk myself through these tabs based off patient IQ, and then I start to populate this information. I typically am pulling up chart reviewing and pulling over the content into the sidebar here.
What do you mean?
So like if I...
like if you need to put the referral there.
Yeah, so then I would just click on this, so then it's over there, and then I can go back to my note, and I can see it in the side pane.
I do the same thing.
All right, cool. All right, then we go, I don't really touch the objective.
I guess my question for you is, don't really individual.
Yeah, so the question was like, do we individualize the goals? And I said no, because these goals there was a conversation previously with so the one unique thing that I do beyond just filling out as we've already described is, I will also suggest that the other somewhat shortcut that I do, that kosher or otherwise, is I don't go into patient IQ and click all these little individual guys. I don't do that at all.
What do you do? Say see patient IQ?
No, I don't even do that. I just leave it as is, and I fill out my information here.
Okay.
Yep. The stuff that I will pull from patient IQ specifically are their occupation, where they do describe their previous illness or their information. I'll put it here.
Gotcha.
And then the other information that usually is populated down here, actually, for the most part, falls out in our conversation, which is going to be captured by DAX already in this section.
So those are not required. I mean, the information's required. Don't get me wrong. I just mean.
So I've clicked on at least one of them for each, so that I've met the requirements. Because that has to, you have to talk about previous treatment, you have to talk about patient goals, you have to say what their prior level of function is. So for each of the, one of the questions that we've talked about in previous sessions together has been like, what are the necessary elements? And so I just spent some time like going through and clicking on each of the necessary elements, so that I have some placeholder and meet the necessary standards.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that's tedious and I don't like it, so I don't do it. Yeah. All right. So what the subjective elements that I capture, what the physician said, I copy and paste. What they said in patient IQ, which I copy and paste, I get that from patient IQ. Their current level of function, and their aggravating factors. Sometimes I will put that in from their PSFS, but this is usually where I'm spending the majority of my conversation, is in trying to fill out these 4 components. And that's about it.
Okay.
And I usually will delete my body chart qualifiers. They're just there as a mental reminder. Yep. Okay, getting more to the point of our charting, like our tables and such. So the other thing I will put in here, so I have these things that I call key functional indicators, or KFIs. That's, in business they call it key performance indicators.
Yep.
So I put in my initials, I put in what note type I'm in, and I put in what section I'm in. And I'm in the eval note, I'm in the plan section, and then I put in like what body region.
So we're doing cervical.
Yeah, so then I would put in C-spine.
Oh, I see.
So then,
and that's where
and then so for all my necks, there are like key KFIs that I'm going to track, because I feel like if people meet these, that their neck will be functional. That being said, there are unique instances where I will customize, like for instance, I don't think that grip strength is in here, but that's one thing that I have done. I have like shoulder strength. I have like the endurance bit. And the kind of the mental model that is running here that's not maybe as clear is like, that rehab pyramid where you go like pain on the bottom, it's like pain.
Yeah.
And so for each of those different categories within the rehab pyramid, I have, like my key performance indicators there. And like there's certain things where this is like one that I've used previously, pain pressure thresholds to determine like someone's central sensitization, where I'll do it not only in their cervical segment, but also on their upper trap, or even on their tibialis anterior in a remote site. But that's like a rare individual, so I usually will just delete that. Yeah, and then this is where I will put in my information. Typically, my workflow is .td as in today,
Today's date, yeah.
But then I also do .tdn so that it doesn't refresh. So, like, what does that mean? So, if I put in...
Oh, you mean because then when you copy it to the next...
It will refresh to that new date.
I see. I gotcha.
And then I also do control, and this, I don't know what it is. It's a bracket, but it adds additional lines, and I can also go add it above, which is like just a really efficient shortcut. I created these, if you're interested, in Word, and made them look somewhat nice, and then I copied them over into a smart phrase. There is some functionality within Epic system that would, like, for instance, sometimes these get like really condensed, and that like pisses me off. So then you can go, but if it bothers me, it probably bothers other people, and you can just distribute like widths. Yeah. And then it will distribute it nicely.
I see.
You can also go to table properties and color the cell. Wow. Right? And get like really fancy with it.
How'd you do that?
What?
How'd you even get there?
Oh, sorry. I went right click, table properties, and cell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so then these are the things that I track. The things that aren't in there, the things that are left blank, I just haven't measured. And then maybe on my eval, I'll probably take like cervical range of motion. So these 4 will probably be included. The quadrant and the flexion rotation are discretionary based off the patient's presentation. Yeah, and that's kind of how that works.
Okay.
And like there are times where I've like hyperlinked like articles just because I'm like interested in like, oh yeah, that's like really good to just see like what the comparison of various cervical strength muscle testing is, because I
Who
forget
did that article?
Kraus. I don't know.
Kraus what? Go back. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't even want to know how you figure out how to hyperlink.
Oh, yeah, you just use the hyperlink there.
Okay.
It's an important feature. Yeah. All right. Anyways, and then my intervention section. So typically I have like a progression that I use, so I don't have to continually type out. I told you that I spend a lot of time in my plan section, and
this is part of it.
This is part of it. Yeah. So then I have my phase 1, my phase 2, my phase 3 for my mechanical neck pain. And then so then when I go to my actual daily,
okay,
right?
You'll just copy that over.
So this will go into that where it says like the objective section in our daily note. I just copy and paste this section over into that.
I gotcha.
And then
that'll stay with you.
Correct. This will stay with me
for the top.
And then for my subjective, typically this stays with me.
Where do you put that usually?
That goes in my contextual, and that's my contextual information.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
That makes sense.
But everything else is pretty much a wash.
Understood. Okay.
If you wanted to just create so say you wanted just to create a table offhandedly because you're going to take a measurement, you can just right click and insert a table. How do I do that? I go up here. I just don't use it very often, so it's not in part of my bar.
Do I even have that star?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can do like a simple table.
I didn't even know you could make a table on there.
Yeah, it's
kind of sad.
It's kind of it's also kind of a pain in the butt. I wouldn't advise it just because it works, right? Don't get me wrong. Like I've done it in live time before. How many columns do I want? I want 4. I want 2. All right, boom, and it gives me that, and then I have to type it all out. Like you know what I have done it for is like vitals, right? And then I'll be like BP, heart rate, SpO2, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
But that does it has more time. It's taken me, and I will say that I think that these have been adopted by several people, not a lot, not everybody. Everyone who's been on the knee validation protocol has adopted this to some extent. I think Pilar is someone who has adopted it in full.
Yes, we know.
Yeah. Okay.